Lili, can you repeat that question for the audience?
Yeah, for all of us portraying characters that suffer from disorder, if that was nerve-wracking to portray, to make them approachable and kind of the characters relatable. I'll speak for myself. I suffered eating disorders when I was a teenager. And that was something that I really related to when I read the script, obviously, and met with Marti for the first time. I thought I'd met my soul sister. I really felt so attached to the material, and to have the opportunity to get to step back into the shoes of something that 10 years later I'd moved on from was terrifying. But at the same time, the hugest honor, and I knew that it was something I needed to do for myself as well as for the character. And so I inserted a lot of my own experience and emotional turmoil into that, but also did a lot of research with medical teams and with facts and with nutritionists to better my understanding on the facts, because I didn't take the time as a teenager to do that, to get over it. And so it was a really therapeutic process for me. But I was nervous more because I felt like I was putting myself out there so much in a way that I wasn't comfortable with. And through the process of it now, I'm way open to talking about it, because it's something that is not to be ashamed of and fearful of and regretful of, but something to be powerful with and to use your voice for communication. So, for me, the question was, did it feel in any way like an alcoholic would if 10 years later, did you feel the desire to go back and drink? It was tough. It was really, really tough. Like I said, I did it surrounded by a medical team. I did it surrounded by these amazing female,
a lot of bossy women.
Bossy women, my own mother, who's in the audience. I was held accountable for any actions that went a little bit too far or, in any way were red flags. But I was really adamant that this not be that kind of experience for me. This was about healing. This was about a form of therapy for me. Everything was for the mindset of the character. I wouldn't have lost the weight. I wouldn't have done the research if I didn't feel that Ellen deserved it, and Marti deserved it, as it was semi-biographical, and I deserved it, because to tell this story, I needed to tell it in my way that I felt comfortable with doing. And like I said, there was a fear of that, but at the same time, the reasons that I started the disorder when I was younger don't apply to me anymore. So I grew up a lot.
The question was, how many weeks did she have to prepare for this?
I met Marti. I was shooting something else that was 1930s and a slightly fuller figure. And I met Marti, and there was a 6-week, from that day I met her, 6 weeks until production started, that we started filming. I finished the TV series pilot within 2.5 weeks before having to start shooting. So it was a very fast process, but nothing felt, I know it sounds strange, nothing felt incredibly unhealthy. I was eating, I was under supervision, but it was a very, very fast process. I'm not someone who likes scales, never have, don't like standing on them, don't like looking at numbers. They never gave me a number of weight to lose. It was all about how willing I was to go there. Luckily, we also have hair, makeup, and wardrobe to assist. And so I never put myself in a dire situation. I had a lot of help. But it was a significant amount of weight. But as you can see in that last shot when I'm looking down at myself, I mean, that was not me.
Yeah, we should say we used a body double who was in recovery
to help with the sculpting of that shot.
We were really anxious about triggering a relapse in any, or even a new adventure for any actor, because, and all of the actresses here, they all made their own decisions about how they wanted to approach the character. They're all on different spectrums, and they were portraying characters, some of whom were supposed to be bulimic, and some of, like Lindsay's character is, she has a form of bulimia where she doesn't purge afterwards, but then she punishes her body in other ways. So, we really wanted to represent that there's all these different ways that men, and we should mention Alex Sharp, who's not here because he had to go to England for a family emergency, but he was our cheer captain in many ways. And he also went on a diet, and what's interesting about that is, none of us were too concerned that he was going to get stuck there, and I think that says a lot about how much pressure there is on women to look a certain way. Seeing the bottle,
Marty, can you guys repeat that?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question. I think the question was, did I speak to a therapist about that? That was something a therapist told my mom to do, and we did a long time ago. People thought that was a good idea. And for me, it was really it was a pivotal moment in the film because, when I think about that, I think about how good her intentions were. And I also think about how heartbreaking that was, and probably not a good idea. But I wanted to show that everybody was trying in their best possible way to help. And I also wanted to show how much they love each other, even though their relationship isn't perfect. So yeah, it really happened. That's why I put it in the movie. The question is, do I think grow a pair is the advice to someone with an eating disorder? Fortunately, this is a film, and I hope what people do is recognize that that people who have trouble with eating, body image problems, anything on the spectrum, that they're not weak, and it's not that they are vain or lazy or obsessing for no reason. It's a whole host of problems. And everybody gets different a different way. That worked for me. I needed to grow a pair. I needed to hit bottom. I needed to decide to live for myself. But everybody's path is different. I just hope that people start asking, how can we see this in a more compassionate way rather than be so judgmental? Because all kinds of mental illnesses are on a spectrum, and a lot of them are biological. I have a biological, my ancestors were guarding the tree with the berries that get you high. We are addictive people. It's not, and I thought for so long it was my fault. And I just wasn't strong enough. But when she says grow up, what he's saying is, life is risky. Life is full of uncertainty. And you have to swallow a small piece of coal of courage every day to take on the unknown. But if you do that, you can have an amazing adventure. And boy, look at me here. I've had an amazing adventure.